Good evening, Aries. We're doing a video simply to assess your current situation. There's no other specific theme than what the cards will decide to point out to you. We're going to jump right in. I am pulling a planet to start with, so bringing in an astrological omen if you want. As I believe anyway, astrology and tarot do work hand in hand here. So let us start. Let me pull. And let's see what's happening for you. The South Node. I did a video a couple of weeks back and you had the North Node. Now you have the South Node. So that would be releasing any old patterns, anything too familiar, too comfortable, things that are repetitive, that are not serving you anymore. It's a really good energy for the end of the year, right? It's very symbolic in terms of closing a cycle, entering a new one. But this energy never works as something that you should totally let go of. There's always value in the things that you know, the experience that you've acquired, and either knowledge that was passed down to you from, let's say, family. So if you want ancestors, it's always valuable and shouldn't necessarily be discarded fully, simply revisited. Or somewhat, I'm going to use the word reimagine. So, or what's a better word? Try to see it as something that you would, that you know very well, but instead of doing it necessarily in the old way or the way that you're accustomed to, you might want to choose to modernize it, actualize it, or take what you feel is valuable and leave some of it and move forward, right? Anyway, actually, before jumping into the tarot, let me put that deck back down. I do want to pull out of the Zen Tarot. I haven't used this deck in a long time. I felt it needed to come out and speak. Let's see what it wants to say to you. I'm obviously not reading in the reverse in this deck. You've got plenty of cards, like plenty. There's 6 cards on the table. I only wanted one, but I am going to take the cards. I'm not reading any reverse, cards in reverse in this deck. So you've got a group of 4. I have ripeness. I have isolation, moment to moment, and the creator. And then we have 2 cards, clinging to the past and change together, which is a very South Node energy in terms of clinging to the past, right? That's what I was kind of describing, holding on to things that are familiar. And yet you're prompted to change. So the new cycle with the new year, in line with creating, and I want to say moment by moment. So really in the present, day by day. Doesn't exclude that you can have a long-term or mid-term vision perspective, but the work needs to be done on a day-to-day basis. So some of the things that you're actually leaving behind would be clearly isolation. And in this case, it's isolation. So it just refers back to being either cold, detached, But you do have the heat of the Creator here to melt away all of this ice, right? Moment by moment, slowly but surely. And you are ripe. You are ready for this. It is time. So now that we have all of these cards here, I am going to need some space for the tarot. So let's look at what is this change? Obviously, you're doing a super good job at clearing away what needs to be cleared away. I am staying quiet just a tad while I pull the cards for you. I do want to see if someone took them out by themselves. Okay. We have the Eight of Cups, but in reverse. Let me show you this card. It's in reverse. That is clinging on to something, right? You're not choosing to let it go. You're not walking away from a particular thing, situation, person, who knows. Seven of Wands. I'm going to pull one more here for now. I am going to pull more afterward, but... And the Queen of Swords. Let us begin. I feel you're not detaching from a particular person. Doesn't have to be a woman. But this person is detached from you. So that's the irony here. I see a centaur on this card. I know it's the Seven of Wands, but first and foremost, I see a centaur. So I'm thinking of Sagittarius. I'm thinking of Chiron, of course. Most likely Chiron in this case. So an energy of Chiron is a multitude of things, right? It represents a couple things. In this case, it would be healing, and yet Chiron is also the wounded healer. So although he heals others, he remains wounded forever. All of that to say that this particular situation where you're clinging on to something is, I'm so sorry, it's basically a perpetually opened wound. Doesn't have to stay open, but the wound will always be there. But at least here it feels fresh because you're still not walked away. It still feels opened to a degree. Whether you sense that or not, right? You might think it's way behind you, but I'm not so sure with the cards that are here. there's definitely a possibility of healing from this and protecting yourself, basically, keeping closed off to it. This is the way you'll heal it or keep it, from hurting you. And by that, I'm not saying that this person is hurtful. I'm just saying that the relationship or the experience with this person was, or your memory of that is somewhat charged for you. We did have the isolation card. So the fact that you're detaching from someone who's detached from you, you did go through your fair share of coldness, right? And again, I don't want to say that this person is only and solely cold. I think it was your experience with them that was. The South Node is also sometimes related to family by, representing like what's passed down from generation to generation to generation. Obviously, you think of the family lineage. It could be a mother figure, a father figure, that this Queen of Swords points to. It doesn't have to be, it's a possibility. Let's keep drawing. What do you need to know? King of Swords. We have the Queen and the King now. You see, this is excellent. The reason being, I did say before that the Queen wasn't necessarily the only cold one. I believe that you were also cold or detached, or I'm hearing that you chose to distance yourself. Both people here did. So this whole situation describes clearly a relationship. Doesn't have to be a love relationship, but it's you and another person. Your involvement with them, which feels like a non-involvement personally because of all this ice energy, and yet there's both hot and cold on the table, which is another characteristic of this reading. Okay, let's keep drawing. Let's see how this moves, or I was gonna say how it moves forward, because I do see the Wheel of Fortune here. Change, right? It's not the Wheel of Fortune because that one is not a tarot card, but it's the equivalent energy. Okay. What have we got? the Hermit, and the Page of Wands in reverse. I'm going to place the cards a little differently here. Well, there's a real close off, obviously. You know, the Hermit is each party choosing to go on their own. There's more isolation, there's more detachments. There's no communication, there's no message, there's no exchange. Which is fine because the initial energy was one of healing, healing a past wound, healing a relationship that is clearly more cold than hot. For which also the main energy is one of being of the past, in the past. So what else would you like to tell us, cards, relating to this energy and the change? Three cards. The Moon in reverse, the Four of Pentacles, and the Devil in reverse. So Moon in reverse, this card is really beautiful. And then that little devil with his pitchfork. You know, it's really interesting because I mentioned that the wound would be opened, and I think now that for both the King and the Queen of Swords, both will have a perpetually open wound that will somehow be healed and yet never fully healed, right? And we see it really clearly with these three cards because the energy that's squeezed in between the two major arcanas, which are both in reverse, by the way, is that Four of Pentacles. And he's basically like, he's patching something, right? He's basically, you know, let's say it's an open wound, you know, you're going to put your hand and prevent anything to, like, let's say bleeding or even anything to enter the wound, so you're going to protect it. So it's the same energy of holding on to something. It feels like a band-aid energy here. The two majors are in reverse. So it's interesting because on one side there's a release. So there will be a form of healing, definitely. Letting go. I believe it's the, you know, the energy of being in the moment and always moving forward by creating, recreating. Also, there's a lot of intentionality with the creator or the creation energy, which implies that you're directing your energy. So you're deliberate, you're choosing to let go of the past, you're letting go of that wound, at least your focus on it, right? Because it'll never fully, at least it won't, how can I say this? It's not going to be a hindrance. It won't be an issue. I'm not too sure how to say this. And on the other side of the Devil in reverse, we have the Moon in reverse. A lot of no more gray zones, no more ambiguity, no more hiding it away, right? It's out in the open, it's known, it's dealt with, it is what it is. There's a sort of acceptance to it. Maybe that's the best possible way to heal it. But I do have to say that there are 3 cards on the table, 4 with the South Node, right? There's the South Node energy, which is pretty much living in the past. You have clinging to the past. You have the 8 of Cups in reverse, which is not walking away, and the 4 of Pentacles, which is holding on. So clingy energy. So you're still working through fully letting this, at least fully releasing it, fully discerning what it is that, or the parameters of this thing, right? Whatever that thing is for you, I do believe it's within a relationship. We've established that. I really think these are 2 people. You and someone else, Aries, definitely. There is enlightenment possible. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of growth, a lot of lessons learned through the experience. I even want to say that there's a great lesson in terms of how it is that you're able to release, or at least having something not completely overtake you and unconsciously drive you through accepting that it's kind of always going to be there. I'm not sure if it makes sense to you, but let's draw a trinket. Let's see. Apologies for the noise. We have the gymnast. So for me, that's flexibility, right? That's the healing as well, in terms of giving yourself enough elasticity, right, to work around, like, okay, well, one day it might be easier for you because you won't be focused on thinking about the past or thinking about this person or the memories that you have related to that person, versus you know, having days where you might feel okay, this is kind of still on my radar, but it'll diminish, right? It's just a matter of working with it. So the flexibility needed to compose with the situation. I'm going to put that on the 7 of Wands, to have flexibility when it comes to how you're guarded, how you are, you know, fencing yourself off, which I think is a good solution, but I don't think it's the only way to actually deal with it. I much prefer the idea of living day by day in creation, in newness, in things that are changing for you, and simply like in the doing just do. That'll be sufficient. It'll help you not obsess over anything. It'll keep you, with the Hermit, it'll keep you in a place of, I guess, in a place of, I want to say wisdom. Not that it's a place, but at least in your mind, it'll feel like you're approaching the feelings that arise with a lot more wisdom, experience, if you want. Okay, well, I am gonna close the reading here. Hopefully something resonated for you. Please give me a thumbs up, share the video, of course, subscribe, and come back. I'll see you soon. Good night.